Hey, everybody, it's another episode of Men Cry in the Car. We are here for episode 8. You already know who it is. It's Lynn Meyer, the HRT coach, which stands for Healing, Restoration, and Transformation. And today I have yet another very deserving gentleman to be on the show. He is Mr. Successologist. If I pronounce that wrong, he'll correct me. But Mr. Charles Johnson is here to be our special guest today. I want to bring him on because I'm very interested for him to tell us what that means. And then also what we're going to talk about today. Today is a space like no other. Of course, we talk about how men are seen, heard, and supported here with Men Cry in the Car. So let me bring to the stage Mr. Charles himself.
What's happening? How are you?
Hey, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Okay. So first of all, did I pronounce the title correctly? And then would
Yes.
you please tell us what that means?
Yes, you did perfect. It was perfect. Successologist. It happened, and let me say first, thank you for the opportunity to be here. I really appreciate it. When I first started doing this work, the title of coach was being used a lot.
Mhm,
Everybody was a coach this, everybody was a coach that.
mhm,
And so in an effort to distinguish myself from other coaches, I met with a friend of mine, and he was a marketing kind of guy. And
mhm,
he said, well, what have you been doing your whole life? Tell me about your life. And we discovered that since I can remember, I've always been talking about success, be it spiritual, career, money, relationship, whatever it was. I've always been talking about success. So he said,
mhm.
okay, great. That's good. Now, what about success do you teach? I said, well, I teach principles, modalities, strategies, all of it. He said, so that's kind of like a person that, kind of like a cardiologist. They study the heart and everything that goes with the heart.
Mhm,
So he
mhm.
said, how do you think? What about successologist? How does that sound to you? I said, I absolutely love it. I wish I could have told you some angel came and I was in fasting and prayer and the Lord told me. No, this guy said, that sounds good. I agreed. And we started with successologist.
Mhm. That because I had never heard that before, and I was like, "Am I saying it correctly?"
uh,
And it's perfect, like he said. Like I love the example he gave, like a cardiologist and so a successologist. How long have you been using successologist?
oh, I have probably been using successologist since 2014, maybe
Okay,
2014, 2015. So it's been a while. I've been using it
yeah,
for.
yeah. And just so y'all know, for those that come on and watch us live in a replay, like when you Google successologist, you do pop up, sir.
I
Okay,
know I
so
did it the other day. I did it the
I
other
just wanted
day.
to let you know you do pop up, and I don't see anybody else with that.
Right. So that's a good thing. See how the Lord work.
It is a very good thing. So I wanted to thank you again for agreeing to come on and talk to me. Just sharing what you want to share on this platform, on this podcast. We did well, I asked you if you wanted to have a title for it. And he was like, "Hey, I want to talk about like it's okay to love yourself." So glad you said that. And let me just explain the reason why I'm so glad you said that, because most times when I have men as my clients or working with me in my, they usually say to me, sometimes I feel like I don't even love myself because I'm here seen as a provider, as a supporter, as this, as that. So I'm everything to everybody else and nothing to myself.
Wow.
And so when
Wow.
you said that, I was just like, "Ooh, I hope we're gonna go there," because you know that's just the thing. So tell us a little bit how you came up with that title for today.
um, when I was again first starting this work, and I was a pastoring, pastoring, church growing, things going well, and things were happening for other people, but they weren't happening in my own house. And one of the things that I discovered was that I did not love Charles. And when I say love Charles, I mean just love Charles, not connected to my wife or my family or my parents or this, that, or the other. I didn't love me for just being me. And when we first started talking, I was like, I'm almost sure I'm not the only guy that feels like this or has these same kinds of thoughts. Because as a man, we're typically trained, programmed not to indulge in feelings, especially when we start talking about love and then loving yourself. Men, we just have not been trained to do that. We've been trained that, that you're almost emotionless, because the more emotion you show, it causes people to think you're less of a man. Now, they'll take you crying maybe once, and then, go a year or two and you can cry again. But no, if you're going to be crying in worship, or you're going to be crying because your daughter did something great, if you're going to be crying because you love your wife so much, all of that is framed like, oh no, he's a weak man. Why are you crying all the time? You just a big crybaby. And they start going through that kind of stuff. And what it does is it causes you to keep burying everything and make sure everybody else has this security, has this comfort, has this stability in their life, because that shows how much I love you. I'm putting the roof, and you got the car, and you got the this, and you got the that. But then when it comes to me, do I love me enough to take care of me? And one of the things that I learned, Lynn, is that just because I love me doesn't mean I love other people less. There is enough love to go around for everybody, including me. Now, including me. I can experience love, and I'm not weak. I'm not soft. I'm not a pushover. I'm not somebody's floor mat. I can experience love. And to be honest with you, it's very difficult to receive the love of other people, even the love that God has for you, if you don't love yourself. And when I say love myself, I'm talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Love it all. I mean,
love it all.
Not perfect.
Love it all. Yes.
Not trying to be perfect. Not trying to get it all right. Not trying to prove nothing to nobody. No, I love Charles. So I had to practice it. I had literally had to get in the mirror.
Thank you.
And for as many seconds as I could do it in the beginning, just say you love you. Just say, I love Charles.
Go there and just say that. Before you go into that, because I know that's going to help somebody in just a second. Okay. I'm so glad you said that, because my husband, people always say, don't be saying that about your husband. Yes, I do. I love the fact that my husband is able and secure enough to show his emotions around me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it could be.
I love that. I remember the first time he cried, he had talked about a past trauma that he shared with me. And I just looked at him. I was like, thank you. Thank you for trusting me with that. Because I could tell it was like heavy on him. Yeah. And when I said that to him and I said, you're safe with me, he just bawled even more. And not one time did I judge him. Not one time did I say, oh my God, stop crying. Like I just pretty much told him, cry. Because I knew in that moment, no one had made him feel safe.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
No one made him feel safe. And so when I see that how he showed up when we were dating, and now that we have children, he cries in front of our children. Like you said, he cries when there's pain. He cries when he's happy. He's cried when he's like overwhelmed with emotion.
Yeah.
And he's not weak. He's a very strong man because of that. Because he can show emotion and then say, all right, now what are we going to do?
Yeah. Like, one of the things that I have learned is that there is such a thing as masculine energy and feminine energy. And we have, be it conscious or unconscious, real or imagined, we have always associated love with the female energy.
Correct.
And as a man, you start saying something that's female, especially in this environment. We're like, no. I don't want nothing to do with that. I don't want nobody to think I'm none of that. Yeah. But what we are doing as men, we are cutting off, if you can say this, the better half of ourselves or the other half of ourselves. Because there's a part of us, yes, you need to be the protector and the provider, and you need to step up and lead and all those things. But at the same time, there's another part to you, bruh. And I understand it's not popular to talk about. It's not popular for it to be seen. But you are doing yourself, number one, a disservice by not, participating in it and getting everything out of that you can get. But then two, you're also taking it's a disadvantage to people that are around you, because what your children will see is a balanced person. Your children will see someone that knows
Correct.
how to navigate this thing that we call life.
Yes.
You know, because it's not all smiles and giggles.
Yeah.
It's not all sunshine and roses. Sometimes
Correct.
there are places in your life that are rough, inconvenient, hurt, all those things. But that's what life is. So we cut ourselves off. We do ourselves a disservice by not allowing ourselves to experience the female part of what God has given us. Now, of course, there's perversion and all of that, but don't think that comes from God. God created us so that we might be able to experience a full life. Yeah. So part of experiencing that full life is loving yourself and understanding the love that God has. Now, again, I'm preaching, I've been pastoring, you know, been a church baby as long as I can remember. And I knew, I guess not textual, but technically, that God loves everybody. You know, God loves everybody. You know, it's including you, Charles. God loves everybody. But what I realized was that if I were the only person on the planet, God would still love me like God loves me right now.
Correct.
And there is literally nothing that I can do to get God to love me more. Yeah. There's nothing I can do. So the place where I need to work is, one, receiving the love that God has for me, all of me, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, whatever. Receive that love, but then at the same time, take it in. Make it personal. That God loves Charles. Are you serious? God loves Charles. Good, ugly, messed up, fat, skinny, tall, short, hair, bald hair, getting it right, getting it wrong. Yeah. God still loves me. Matter of fact, God would not even have me on the planet if he could not support me. If he could not love me the way I need to be loved, I wouldn't be here. So, sir, let me tell you, after you dry them tears in the car, I've done it myself. I am a witness. After you dry those tears in the car, wipe those tears, look at yourself, even in that, on that flip down mirror or in your rear view mirror, and tell yourself how much you love you. And then tell yourself why. Why do you love yourself so much? What is about you that makes you love you?
So now you know I'm getting ready to ask you. Okay, so in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. No, anyway, but what I'm saying is, it's a two-part. In the beginning, was that easy for you to say that you loved yourself? And if it wasn't, like, how did you get to that place of saying you love yourself? And why is it that you love yourself that way?
When I first started doing it, no, it was not. It was not easy at all. Matter of fact, I actually timed myself. I was watching some video, and a person said that the average person can't look at themselves in the mirror for no more than 7 seconds. After 7 seconds, they start getting uncomfortable, seeing all the flaws and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I started doing. I started standing. I literally took my phone, set it for 7 seconds, and just looked at myself in the mirror and started saying things like, I love you, Charles. I love you, Charles. For 7 seconds, I love you, Charles. I love you, Charles. I love you, Charles. I love you, Charles. And the more I did it, the easier it became for me to be able to do it. Initially, I started out just doing it by myself. We have a couple bathrooms here in our house. Well, with 3 bathrooms here in our house. So I would go to a vacant bathroom and do it in the mirror, and then come out of that bathroom, go upstairs, continue on with my day. The reason why it was difficult is because, well, several reasons, but 2 most importantly, I believe. One was the way I was brought up. Not to not love myself, but nobody even taught me that it was okay for me to love myself, to give myself a pat on the back, to praise myself. Man, you did a great job. Oh, you're really good at that. Nobody taught us that. Also in my household, and I was blessed to have both parents in the household, raised by both parents. Daddy was a military guy. So military guy, that adds a little bit of something different to it, because now here, this hard, been through wars, shot out of airplanes and all that kind of stuff. This guy, Command Sergeant Major, 82nd Airborne Paratrooper,
is now
hard
father.
as nails. I didn't hear a whole lot of "I love you" or tell yourself, you love yourself. But what I did see was my daddy cry. Okay. And it was typically, we had these family devotions. All of us would come around the table before dinner. I know that sounds like the Waltons, but we would come around.
Well, that sounds like, that sounds like a very healthy situation.
Okay, yeah, you're right. We would come around and we would do our devotional, and he would leave the devotional. And there'll be times he will be reading something or he would be praying and he would break out into tears. Tears meeting down at the bottom of that kind of tears. So that helped, but then there still wasn't the direction. There wasn't this is how you work on your self-esteem or work on your self-image and your self-worth. Tell yourself how wonderful you are. No, I didn't get that. The other thing was like I said before, I grew up in a Black apostolic church that my mother pastored. So when it came to stuff talking about like love, they could only give me what they knew love was to them. And so when I heard it from them, I was like, okay, well, I have to do this to get God to love me more. I have to be this way. I have to wear that. I have to talk this way in order to get God to love me. And if I ever did anything wrong, I'm talking about anything. If I forgot to pray over my food, Lynn, I would have to stop. Wait a minute. Lord, I'm sorry for not praying over my food. And so I could get God's love. So I could be okay that God loves me. I don't necessarily have to love myself, but God's got it. God's got it all. I don't got to do it. God's,
I understand. You're fine.
That whole thing. So the environment that I grew up in, like in our actual household, and then the church, the religious environment that I grew up in, we were always taught, pride comes before a great fall. Never think more highly of yourself than you ought to. God hates a haughty spirit. And those things are true. But when you hear those things over and over and over, it doesn't build you. It starts to make you into a victim. And now I'm chasing love. Yeah. Now I'm doing things to get people to love me versus me just loving me. Whatever that may be. So those things, I would say those two things were some things I had to really fight through to get to where I am now. And I'm still not all the way there, but I'm a lot further along than what I was.
But that's great. That's honesty, because I tell you, a lot of y'all have the same story, just a remix of I wasn't told, I wasn't shown, I wasn't this, I wasn't that. The remix that you have is that at least you saw your father cry. I've interviewed 7 men before you, and not one of them said they saw their father cry. Yeah,
I saw my daddy cry.
I remember that, so that truly, to me, that's a blessing to even see that, him being a military man and everything. But I definitely want you to go back to when you start saying it, start believing it, start knowing that you love yourself. What was the why for you?
The why for me was I wanted freedom. And I know that sounds kind of off, but I wanted freedom. And I wanted to be free from the things that no longer served me. And one of those things was not loving myself. One of those things was not giving Charles credit. And having this, my wife calls it like a faux humility. You're not really that humble, but you're afraid that God is going to be upset because you're not humble enough. So one of the things that I had to just kind of come to grips with is if I want to be free from any type of generational thing that was just given to me. For example, one of those things was anger. I would have these bursts of anger, and the target of that anger, even though it wasn't her fault, was typically my wife, because she was the one that was closest to me. A lot of it had nothing to do with her. I was carrying around anger that was almost like generational. Didn't know where it came from, didn't know why I was angry, but it would be a word, it'd be a situation, and then boom, out of nowhere. So being free from something like that required that I learned how to love myself. Because what I realized was a lot of the anger that I had wasn't even mine. It was passed down to me from other people, from my uncles and my grown male cousins and stuff you see on TV. And then I'm kind of athletic. So, you know, on the football field, you know, people, the things that we were given as men, all of it wasn't bad, but I know some of it just was not complete. We were taught the harder you are, the better man you are. The less emotion you show, the better man you are. Yeah. Even when it comes to like doing things like work, for some reason, our society, we feel like a man that goes out, gets his hands dirty, comes back in tired from working 12 and 14 hours. Now that is a man. Exactly. But the man that puts on a tie and goes to the office and up on the top floor, executive floor, and he's wearing an Armani suit and he smells good. No, he ain't no real man, because he don't go out there and do something. This is the indoctrination that we've been getting all the time.
There you go.
Even when you watch TV, the men that are most desirable, what do they have? They have money, status, possession, all these things. But the guy that may not have this, this great executive position, he might be a guy that goes around and picks up trash. He might be the guy that cuts the lawns or digs the ditches or whatever. That man is not that guy. No, he's got to have stuff, and he's got to present this image. And it's difficult to love yourself when you don't see yourself as who you actually are.
That's right.
I can perform, I can pretend to be somebody else, but that doesn't help me and it doesn't help anybody else. Matter of fact, it's a big weight to carry when you're pretending to be something that you're not. So when I started loving myself, I had to say, hey, look, Charles, why do you love you? And even that, Lynn, was difficult because, again, nobody taught how to look at yourself and be positive and affirm yourself. Nobody told us that. Nobody taught us that. So I had to start becoming okay with not only I love me, but this is why. I love the way I smile. I love my spirituality. I love that I can be funny. I love that I'm creative. I love that I'm kind and I'm open. All those things. Now, I can say it freely now, but please believe. I had to think of them Mama Jammers when I first started doing this. I was like, oh man, why do I love me? And the blessing is there is no vote. Bruh, you ain't got to go and talk to your wife and say, do you believe this too? No, this is about you. You on your journey, you are an individual. So you don't have to check it with everybody. You don't have to get everybody's permission. Everybody's okay. Does everybody like what I'm doing? You don't have to have it.
You don't have to.
When you start loving you, everybody else around you will start to feel the love that you have for yourself, because you can't help it. If I love me, I can't help but give my love away to somebody else. Be like, do you know exactly what this feeling feels like? Because again, we associate love with sex.
Yes.
If I love you, that means we're going to have sex, or we're going to be making love, or that kind of. And that's a very small portion of what love is. So yeah.
I had looked down. I saw Oh, I have a question here.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me go back. Let me go back here. Oh, I guess they came on a little bit. Hopefully they heard what you said. Anyway, this person says, how do I love when I have never been shown love? Like growing up, I guess it's growing up.
Mm-hmm. That's a blessing, because now you get to make it up. You get to decide how love looks to you. You get to decide how you interpret when you're being loved. You get to decide that now. So it's not a detriment to you. You get the opportunity now to say, okay, this is what love is for me. This is what it looks like. This is what it feels like. This is what it sounds like. So that's a great place to be, because again, like I said, now you can make it up. Even when it comes to your past, people look at their past and they're like, oh, my past was horrible. Oh, my past was, well, your past is yours. You can frame it however it is you want to frame it. My suggestion is that you frame it in the most positive, empowering, inspiring way you can. Yep, you had some difficulty in your past, but man, that thing back there made you into the mamma jamma you are right now. Oh yes, that's a great past.
That's like, what I say.
I've never grown up, like the person that asked the question, I've never seen it. So how do I do it? You make it up. You have an imagination. So if you can imagine the worst case scenario, you can imagine the best case scenario too. Choice is yours. You decide what it is how you want to frame it.
Correct. It makes me think about when you said earlier about when you said generational. A lot of people say generational curses or whatever. I call them generational patterns because it's like when you do a certain thing, like it's passed down and passed down and passed down. And so there was a example. I remember you probably heard it too. So a mom was talking to her daughter, and the daughter said, "Mom, why do you cut off the end of the compost or something like that, right?" And so they went back and talked to the mom, and went back and talked to the mom, and so then when they got to the grandma said, "Oh, my pan was never big enough." But everybody just kept watching it, and it was just like, "Oh, I never did even ask." And just like how you answered that question, if it had never been shown, you created. It's the same thing with that. If it's never been shown, and there's a generation thing that you don't like that shows up in your family, then it can stop with you, or it can be redirected with you.
Yes.
Like it doesn't have to continue with. We never hugged each other. We never said we loved each other. We just didn't do that as men. We just didn't do that. Or Gen X, Gen X and baby boomers, like we got it bad. Like for some reason, like we just, and I'm laughing because it's so sad. We just didn't feel comfortable saying I love you and hugging on each other. And so with us, we have to be able to stop that. I'll say this, and I want you to say something about it. Okay. With my husband and I are both Gen Xers. And so he didn't grow up with his mom or his dad saying they love them or hugging. It was more like, whatever I do for you, your needs is how I love you. That's how I was with mine. And so when we became, my siblings and I became older, we said, you know what? Let's start hugging each other when we see each other. So now when we see each other, we hug each other. And now when it comes to our children, we hug them and say, I love you, because we know how we felt growing up. So it's one of those things that, like you said, you create that. I know you answered that, but could you give us another example of how a generational pattern can be stopped, or you can create that or become what you always wanted in your family?
First of all, it's the awareness that it's there. Too often we don't acknowledge what's actually there, especially if you're a church type person. We want to spiritualize everything. Everything is the devil, everything is a demon, everything. No, some of that is you, and you got to admit and accept your responsibility in the whole thing. Another great example, and I laugh like you, because it's so sad, but one of the things that I had to do, and I had to go back to my sons. I had to say to my sons, because I have two older sons. One is 39, and one just turned 31 this past Friday. I had to go back to them, and number one, I had to apologize. I had to ask for their forgiveness, because everything that they were doing, I taught them to do. The fear, the anger, all of
Yeah.
that. I taught them that.
All of it.
They
All of
would
it.
not have known that if they had not encountered me. So I had to go back and
Ooh, that was
acknowledge it.
good. Ooh, that was good. Woo! Say it again. Say it again. They would not say it again.
They would not be who they were at that particular time had it not been for me. I taught them how to fear. I taught them how to be angry. I taught them how to plan for the worst, hope for the best. I taught them all that. So I had to go back and, number one, acknowledge to them that, hey, look, Pop got that wrong. It just is what it is. I got it wrong, and I apologize. And from this point forward, I'm going to show you something different.
Yeah.
It does not have to be just this way. So I started hugging my sons, and not just one of them, little church hugs,
Yeah.
how we do, little church hugs. No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about embracing
Embrace and
holding my sons.
Yeah.
Even my granddaughters. I wanted them to see me. I wanted them to even see my interaction with their mother, with my wife. You see me hugging on her and kissing her and telling her I love you, and calling, for no reason. Just, hey, I want to tell you I love you. I miss you. All of those things they start to see. And now that they are older now, they're like, no, I want that. That's the kind of love I want to see in my house, between me and my wife, and me and my kids.
Right.
That's what I want to see. Now, they'll do it in their own personalities. However, they're still doing it. They are still doing it. So now my oldest son has 2 daughters.
Okay.
So my youngest son hadn't had any kids yet. So he is biting, chomping at the bit. Papa want to get married, man. I want to get married. I want to have these kids, man, so I can love on them and you can love on them. And that's what love does. Love cannot be just kept in a corner somewhere.
Yeah.
It can't be hidden. You're going to feel it and you're going to see it. People come to our house and they don't want to leave, Lynn.
I know.
They don't want to leave. I wish they're trying to get them to leave, but they just won't
leave. You ain't got to go home, but you got to
you got to get out of here though. But it's because of the love that they feel. And even though my wife, she can set the temperature in a house, the wife can make it real cold or real comfortable real fast.
Yeah.
But a man can do the same thing. We can be real stoic, one-word answers, always frowned up. I remember, Lynn, I could wake up and be mad for no reason. I mean, literally, open my eyes, I'm mad.
Mad.
For no reason. You just
woke up. You just woke up.
Why are you mad?
What happened in your dream?
Right. Oh, man. But when you start to be able to, again, love yourself, you can't keep it in. Now, and truth be told, to give you the other side of it, there are going to be people who are not going to understand that.
Yeah.
Or they're going to think you're playing, or they're going to think, you're just covering up for something else.
It's not real.
It's not real, right? It's not real. So you're going to have to continue to persevere. Just continue to do it until people start recognizing, oh, you're really serious about this. This is not
really
just something you made up. Say it again.
Why wouldn't I be? I said, yeah, I'm serious about it. Look, now I had looked down because I didn't want to miss comments or questions. I had another question for you.
Sure. Okay.
This person is saying, I came across love that was, okay, hold on. I've come across love that was conditional more than unconditional. Why do people put restrictions on love?
Loving somebody can be dangerous. Loving somebody can put you in a vulnerable position. And I don't know a whole lot of people that's okay with being vulnerable. I don't know a whole lot of people that signs up for, okay, hurt me for no reason. I don't see a whole lot of people doing that. So loving someone takes practice.
It does.
It takes practice. And then being able to love with the other person in mind as well as yourself. if you were in the position that that person is in and they needed unconditional love, would you give it to them, understanding that one day you will need the same kind of love as well? You will need somebody to just be there to hear you, not necessarily even answer all your questions and give you some kind type of deep theological, philosophical response. No, just don't judge me. Just don't tell me I'm a bad person because I thought that, or I did that, or I said that. Just love me. Cool. Just love me. That's what people are. People just want to be loved. They're tired of all the restrictions. They're tired of all the hoops you got to jump through. They're tired of all the things you can and cannot do to get a love that's already yours. So when we start talking about love, understand, always keep yourself in mind, because we live from the inside out. So if this person, you encounter this person, there's something going on inside of you. You meet you pushed out. Let me say it one more time. You meet you pushed out. So this person that has this particular problem or issue or situation, please believe we live from the inside out. So if I'm running into this person, there's got to be something working. I need to work on inside of me to help them. And helping them, even though you don't have the answers for your own yet, helping them brings you your answer.
Tag me in. Put me in, coach. I want to talk. Exactly. When you were okay. So I'm gonna go off me just for a second. So I remember when I could not receive love. I could not receive love simply because the household that I grew up in, we all talked about that. The household I grew up in, it was dysfunctional to the 10th, 11,000 power. Okay. And so if I didn't see it from my dad to my mom, then when I did see it, it was more like siblings. Like we showed how we loved each other. Even my mom, she tried to do her best, even though she was terrified being in the house because my dad was very physically abusive to her. So she tried as much as she could because, anyway. But as I grew up to becoming a teenager, then a young adult, it was more, I repelled love. It was just like I rejected it. I pushed it away. I did all that because I didn't love myself. Going back to the topic of it's okay to love yourself. I didn't love myself. And I will agree with what you just said, because when I couldn't receive it because I saw something in them. And then when I saw it in them and then I saw me, I was just like, you'll never be able to receive this love because you don't like yourself. I didn't like myself, nor did I love myself. But the minute I started understanding who I was, what I liked about myself, like just embracing everything, every flaw, every detail, every this, every that, I was like, "Ooh, I like you." Okay, it was that, and then I started noticing my relationships change. Okay, and then because I told my husband, like we talk about like past things all the time, and he asked me one day, he says, "Have you ever been in love like this?" I said, "You know what? I think the people I've been in relationship with," I said, "I really do think I did encounter some type of love." I said, "But I wasn't ready for that." But to answer your question, no, I have never been loved like this, because I tell you, I've never been in love before.
Wow.
He's the person that showed me that. And so I was able to be like you said, when people want to be loved without restrictions, they don't sign up to be, this and that. But I learned transparency, vulnerability were my friends.
Yes.
They were not my enemies. They were not there to harm me. They were there to say, hey, in order for you to get this, let us know. Like, let us know when we can come in. So I didn't want to say that because I was like, I couldn't even experience love until all that happened.
Yes. Even when it comes to love and loving ourselves, it can show up in little ways. One way is in our diet, what we eat.
Yes.
If you love yourself, then you need to eat foods that will also love you.
Correct.
So we say, self-love and self-care. Well, boo, you're gonna have to put that pork chop down.
And you got to put that processed food down.
Got to.
And then sugar and everything else. And then you wonder why you got high blood pressure and everything else.
Yeah. It's hard to love yourself.
Don't go there. Yes. Keep talking.
It's hard to do it. It's hard to love yourself when you're sick, when you got low energy, brain fog. You got, this knee is hurting. The ankle over here is hurting. Walk outside. And I'm not saying you got to go get a gym membership. I'm not saying you got to be vegan or vegetarian and none of that stuff. I'm just saying pay attention. Eat the food that will love you back. Now, I'm not saying, again, that you got to go cold turkey. What I am saying is if you love yourself, you will start doing things that show that love. I love my wife. So what do I do? I do things to demonstrate that love to her. So she knows there's no guess. There's no confusion. So if you love you, do things that show you I love me, and it's going to give you the same love back. Just thinking about it. Krispy Kreme donuts. Oh, Lord, I just want to say thank you.
Don't have the light come on. Don't let the light come on.
Don't let that light come on. Lynn, I would have to get 2 dozen. 1 dozen was just for me. And then the other dozen were for the people in the house. When I ate that donut, I just felt loved and supported, but it was killing me. It was driving my weight up. It was driving my blood pressure up. They were trying to say I was pre-diabetic and trying to give me shots and pills. And I realized these donuts are not loving me back. So, no. And who wants to be in a relationship where there's no love? And if there's love, it's not reciprocated. Who wants to be in a relationship like that? So
it's not a relationship.
Thank you. Exactly. It's not. So I had to say to Krispy Kreme, all right, I love myself more than I love you. You are not going to dominate me. You're not going to cause me to, or I'm not going to allow you to cause me to mess up my health, all that kind of stuff. So me and you, we're going to have to go on a hiatus for a little while. I'll be back. Don't get it twisted. Now I'm coming back. But
I will visit you. I will visit you, Krispy Kreme. I will see you every now and then. So,
every now and then, I'm come through.
It may be like a family reunion every couple of years, but I'm gonna come see you.
Yep.
Yes, that is so. That was powerful to say, because again, to love yourself is any and everything that you ingest with your ears, your eyes, your mouth, like all of that.
Man, we are manifestation machines. We are manifestation machines. Everything we think, we say, we eat, everything. Now, people may not like that. I get it. But God made this planet. Whenever you get your own planet, you can do it exactly the way you want to do it. But on this one, this is how it goes. Yeah. So become aware. Even do your best to get around people that show love. Be in an environment of love. Be in an environment of appreciating other people's presence. I'm glad you're here. Their face lights up when they see you. Who wouldn't want to be in an environment like that, where people they love you first and distrust you second? They walk in the door loving you. I was in a phone call. I forget how old I was. I was an adult. But I had met this guy at a business networking event, and we kind of communicated back and forth via email and that kind of stuff. But I said, can I call you? He was like, yeah, call me. So I called him and I said, hey, look, I appreciate your time, He said, stop talking. My answer to you is yes. I'm sorry? What? Yes. He said, I love your energy. I love what you do. Yes to whatever it is you want to do.
That's right.
I was floored. Like you said, I'd never been in love before. Nobody had ever just loved me out of the gate and said yes to whatever it is. Nobody. And when in that moment, I realized this is what God's love looks like.
Yeah.
It's yes.
It's yes.
It's yes. Well, what about the negative stuff? Well, I mean, that's what you want. That's what you've been saying. That's what you've been putting out.
That's right.
Of course, you're a manifestation machine. You
Correct.
cannot not create. So
yeah,
it's imperative for all of us to love ourselves to such a high degree that no negativity, no demon, no imp, no warlock, no circumstance, nothing causes you to deny the love that God has for you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what it looks like around you. Always know that if nobody else, and there are other people that love you, but if nobody else loves you, God started the party. God kicked it off.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. I love that. I love how you say that. And then when you do start loving yourself,
mm-hmm.
For me,
mm-hmm.
but I'll just say when you start loving yourself. And for me, I realized when I released the judgment, the shame, the embarrassment, the guilt, like all the things that are sent here to destroy me. You know, when I start releasing all that, then I could start seeing, like I said, I could start seeing who I am, what I am, the value, the worth, like all of those things.
Right.
And that also, like you said, that allowed me to see that it is possible for other people to love me. Just like when you said, when the guy called and said, stop talking. Yes.
Yes.
If I had that conversation with a person like that and I had not began to love myself, I would have been like, oh my God, what is he talking about? But the minute I got into the place of knowing who I am and loving myself, I would have said, of course you said yes. And I literally would have said that on the phone. Of course you said yes. It's me.
Yeah.
I would have said that. We would have laughed.
You're supposed to.
That's how I show up. Like, seriously, that's how I show up now. Like when people and I are talking or whatever, and I'll say, of course you love me. That's just people do. That's because, you know, we go and we do that. But I do think about, again, for those men that are trying to get to that place of getting out of the car, crying in the car. And of course, there's men crying in the car. But I also want men to know that come on, watch it, show up with us live, watch the replay, whatever. We don't want you to stay there. We don't want you to stay in the car.
Exactly.
We want you to come out and fit and find those places.
Yes.
Find that support. Find those places where you feel safe. You know, if it's not the people in your household, maybe it is, you know, I don't know where it is, but find those places. Yes. Definitely. I don't want people I don't want men to stay in the car. I just really don't.
Right. And bruh, let me tell you something, bruh. You don't have to do it the way I do it. It doesn't have to look the way that mine looks. Take your time. Be gracious to yourself because you got a lot of programming that you're dealing with and you're getting beyond. Do your best to find people that you can trust, that you know you can trust, not just because of their title or because somebody else talked to them too. No, you find, you know, you got some boys that you can take your guard down and you can kind of express yourself in the way that your boys will know what you're talking about. Okay. But find them, take your time, pay attention to yourself. What makes you angry? What are your triggers? And then once you find out what some of those are, why do you have them? Where do they come from? Because everything that's outside of us is an effect. Okay. Without an effect, without a cause, there can be no effect. And if there's an effect, it came from a cause. So that trigger, that thing that your wife said that got under your skin, and now you switch back to being cold and all of that, recognize it. Why? What happened? What was said? Start examining yourself. And the worst person to lie to, bruh, is yourself. You ain't got to lie to you. Okay? This is not a competition you got to win. It's not about being the most manly or being the hardest or being the strong. No. That's not what this is about. This is about you pulling down the curtain on yourself and looking at you and asking the questions, where and why, and is that still helping me? Is that still getting me to the places that I want to go, my family wants to go, and generationally? You talked about generational habits. Is that what you said?
Patterns.
Generational patterns. You can My brother, you can end a lot of the stuff, a lot of those generational patterns that your uncles had, your male cousins, maybe your grandfather on either side. You can start to end some of that stuff, because I'm telling you, anger, unforgiveness, grudges, holding on to that stuff only causes sickness, only causes discomfort, only makes it worse. So I'm telling you, as difficult as it may be, those people that hurt you, those people that did not teach you or instruct you well, you're going to have to let them go. And what I mean by go, I'm not saying you got to just forget about it, act like it didn't happen. What I am saying to you is you're going to have to allow them to be who they are. Whatever they did, they did. They didn't know what they were doing, or maybe they did know what they're doing. But bruh, you're going to have to let that go. And it's going to take some time. It's not going to be easy. If they're still alive and you see them, those old feelings might come back up again. So this is not about, an instant fix. This is about a evolution, a growth of a man. Can you imagine what your kids are going to be like because you have grown? And then your grandkids and their kids' kids, you are creating a different generational pattern. Mm-hmm. One that will not result in sickness and problems and drama and issues. You don't want to leave that behind. Yeah. You want to leave behind a blueprint on how to build a successful life, family, kids, business, ministry, whatever that is. And if you are watching this right now, this is not by mistake. This moment, this time we spend up here talking about love is divine. And you, sir, are supposed to be here. You're supposed to be seeing this. And if you are a female and you're watching this, send this to your man. Do it how he's going to receive it. Here, you need to see this. So you can, no. Send it to him. I think you'll get something out of this. And I'm doing this because I love you and I appreciate you. And I think you are a great man. You are the king of this house. You are the one that's leading us. So I think this will help you. So, bruh, take your time. Don't dive into all your problems. Don't dive into all the issues at one time. Pick you one. Work on that one until you feel like, okay, I've let that go. I'm doing better with it. That's what I had to do. When it came to my whole anger thing, when me and my wife will get into a difficult conversation, I had to remember, number one, she's on your side. She's not trying to do something to you, against you, make you feel some kind of way. None of that. And see, prior, that thought never came to mind. That never came to mind. You said that, I'm going to get you back, and I'm going to get you back worse than what you got me. But now it's like, okay, we're on the same team. Charles, understand now, she is your mirror. So if she's seeing it, it must be in there somewhere. And when I started turning everything inside and saying, okay, you're absolutely right about this, that, or the third. So, okay, I talked a lot.
No, you did not. And I feel like that is definitely going to reach both men and female. It's like what you just said. I know this has been great for me.
I enjoyed it.
It's been wonderful. Thank you so much. But I don't want to leave without you telling the listeners where they can find you, how they can work with you, everything you got going on. If you got some events going on, if you have books that you sell, just let us know all of those things.
Okay, cool. Thank you for the opportunity again to be able to share. But I can be found on Facebook, Charles Wyatt, Wyatt Johnson. I just changed it about a week or so ago. But you can find me there on Facebook. On Instagram, it's at _successologist. If you break it up that way, it spells exactly the way it sounds. Successologist. You can find me there. If you want to work with me, and I would be honored to be able to work with you as it relates to things like your mindset and love and business and ministry and how to grow it and how to bring in more money and serve more people and all that kind of stuff. If you want to work with me, you can do it old school. You can actually call me at 919-228-9679. You can call me. Next week, no, this coming weekend, I'll be in Charlotte. I have the privilege of being on the same stage and a part of the same event with Dr. Cindy Trim. If you don't know who Dr. Cindy Trim is, just Google her and you will find out that's in High Cotton. I'll be in High Cotton. So that's going to be on Saturday. No, I talked that back. It's going to be on Sunday the 18th. I'll be in Charlotte. After that, there are a couple of other events, things that I'm working on. I'm keeping it kind of close to my chest right now until it's all complete and ready to be released. But there are some things that I'm come up with, some courses, some online things, and as well, some boot camp type things. I am a guy that likes hands-on. Show me, tell me, write it down so I can see it, that kind of thing. So there will be some workshops, some seminars, some boot camps that I'm working on right now that I'll be able to let you know about. I have written a book, I Am Sam, 10 Keys to Success from Green Eggs and Ham. It comes from the Dr. Seuss story, Green Eggs and Ham. And it talks about what your green eggs and ham actually are. What is your green eggs and ham ability? What shows you how to stand out from the crowd? And you can go to Google. I Googled myself. I Googled myself yesterday or day before yesterday. So you can go to Google. You can put in Successologist. My book will come up. You can also go to Amazon, put in the title of the book, and it will also come up. You can also put in my name, Charles Johnson, and that book will come up on Amazon as well. If there's anything, and I mean this sincerely, man of God, is there anything that I could ever do to make your load lighter, please let me know. Please, we need each other. We cannot exist without each other. We cannot have a fulfilled life without each other. So if any way I can help you, ma'am, if I can help in any way, please let me know. Because if I help you, I help us all. And if you help me, you help us all. So feel free to reach out to me. Again, Ms. Lynn, thank you so very much for this opportunity. I have enjoyed myself immensely. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here. And I'm just thinking like, gosh, this time went by so fast because I had so much fun. It's just like, oh, this is going to be so great. I did put in your IG, the Google, the telephone number. If I missed something, just come back in the comments and put that in later because I want them to be sure to have all your correct information. And do not leave. I want to talk to you after I end the live.
Okay.
But thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time.
Pleasure.
Just saying yes. Look, thank you for your yes. Thank you for being here. And let me just put you back. Okay. Give me a second.
All right.
Everyone, thank you so much. It has been yet another great, phenomenal podcast of Men Cry in the Car, episode 8, I think, or is it 7? Yo, I don't know. It's episode 8. And so just thank you so much. As I always end, as I always say, sir, I see you, I hear you, I support you. Have a good one.